remind you who your, if my slides will advance. What is frozen? Am I frozen, Erica? There we go. My internet's a little wonky, so tell me if you lose me. I want you to know who the team is. I think a lot of you are seasoned folks and may already know, but FRNO is set up through the Nisongar Center, which is a Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities. And there we have Tracy Mans, who oversees all the work of Family Resource Network of Ohio, and her assistants and project coordinator, Erica Young. And Erica is the one that is the queen of the Zooms. And she makes all those things happen and makes us all look good. And I cannot tell you the amount of growth that's happened. They picked this up in COVID, having very little experience, and they have turned this into an amazing space. So in addition to that, I am not sure. Are you seeing my screen? Yeah, okay, good. I don't have my green line around my screen, so I want to make sure. In addition to that are some of us who are doing a lot of the presentations for Family Resource Network of Ohio, Barb Safaris and myself, and they're kind of that great team there. We also are supported by project lead partners that include the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities, the Department of Education and Workforce, and our Developmental Disabilities Council, who have always been supporters, and the list goes on to the folks that have jumped in since then. But wanted you to make sure you knew kind of the under supports and foundation of this work. And so as we move forward, I really kind of want to start with our core belief for Charting the Life Course. We really can't think about or identify Charting the Life Course stories of impact without using and looking at this core belief, because it really acts as like our true north as far as what guides what we want to do. And that belief that all people have a right to live, love, work, play, learn, and pursue their life aspirations in their community. And that's the key to improving the lives of people with disability in everywhere, but in Ohio specifically as we do this work. And this core belief is the right of everyone, not just people with disabilities. It's just our right. It's a human right. It's our right as people. And because engagement in the work and conversation is the key to ensuring that, that stories of impact really kind of carries that in a way that nothing else does when we talk about what happened. So I want you to stop for a minute, and just while we're talking, just because I can't stand not to have interaction, it's my thing. So bear with me, please humor me and interact. Throw into the chat just one way that for you this week or last week, that you took a minute, you did something, or you had an experience that ensured your right to live, love, work, play, and pursue what you wanted to do in your life, in your community. Really simple. Yeah, Eve, what's up? I see your hand up.
Can you answer the question?
Oh, sure, you can answer out loud. Absolutely.
So the thing that I did, was in a play, and that was inspiring to me.
Awesome. Where was it?
In Florida.
Wow, that's awesome. Did you get a
Is it
standing
remember I told you
ovation?
about
Did
it?
you?
We'll
Talk about it. Let me get through some of my stuff, but I do want to hear about it. And if we don't get finished today, I'm going to make sure Ishika helps me get in touch with you, because I kind of am a closet play person. I never get to leave.
Can you send me her email?
Yep, we'll work on that. Thanks. All
You're
right.
welcome.
Thanks for putting stuff in the chat. I'm not finding my chat right now. Where are we? There we go. There we go. All right. So put it in there. Nobody's joining me with my little engagement. I'm going to move on, but I want to hear. Oh, Katie, practice setting boundaries with friends and family. Perfect. That self-care is super important. And April's been crazy busy, so I think boundaries probably was the theme for April. So let's step into it a little bit and do a slight overview. I want to make sure I didn't. An overview, a little bit of what happened at the showcase, just quickly. You can see here, it was a full agenda. I'm not going to zoom in. It doesn't matter what we did each minute, but each minute was planned and connected, and people were milling about and talking to each other and sharing stories and interacting with activities. We really thought through how to take hearing a story, being inspired, like Eve talked about, into what can I do? How can I use this? And so that whole piece. So we had I looked back at the registration, and I didn't compare the registration to who came, but I know we were pretty close to everybody who had registered, who we didn't hear from, who couldn't make it at the last minute, to coming. But just with registration, we had almost 200 people registered, and approximately 40% of those people identified as family or caregivers, which I thought was monumental in this space. We're really kind of getting under to families and the people that they support. Looking at the numbers, and I will tell you, I am not a statistician. In fact, it's not my strength, so I'm not going to tell you these are exact, but that's why I use terms like close to and almost. Close to 10% were people with disabilities. Almost 30% had a connection to disability, maybe not an immediate family member, but some sort of personal connection to disability. And the other 20% had no connection to disability other than their role and why they came to that room. So we literally had every level and role represented, from advocates and parents to executive directors and superintendents, DSPs, caregivers, parent mentors, information specialists, parent and youth ambassadors, guardian representatives, DODD, DEW, OOD, DD Council, school districts, the education service centers, SSTs, county boards, providers, grassroots organizations, a YMCA, principals, intervention specialists, transition coordinators, you name it, they were there. And 34 out of 88 counties were represented. And I didn't look at that information until about 11 o'clock last night, but it re-energized me to meet with you this morning and share what was going on. So another thing that made this year special was that we had a repeat performance by Al Condalucci. He reviewed the key elements to storytelling, like authenticity and emotional connection, the role of storytelling and disability advocacy, and how it can be a catalyst for change. And we're seeing that every day right now as families and individuals share their stories each day. And we see more and more those changes being implemented that may impact people with disabilities and their quality of life. And he really invited us and challenged us to challenge those stereotypes and stigmas, to raise awareness, to influence policy and legislation. And his overall message was to encourage us as storytellers, to offer tips and to challenge us to use storytelling as an advocacy tool to really amplify the voices of people with disabilities and their families to drive social change. And Erica, I'm going to tell you, you probably didn't find it, but I shot to you the storytelling document that Al shared with us to drop into the chat if it's at the top of your email and you can share it. If not, no worries, we'll get it out to him later. So that really is the, Yep, go ahead. It's there.
Sorry, it's the bottom, sorry, the most recent thing I put in chat, I thought. Storytelling.
Okay, perfect. I see it. Yep, there. Thank you. So answering that why stories impact, at the showcase, we really want to inspire people to explore Charting Life Course and start with the real life stories of Charting Life Course champions. So the folks that were on stage were not necessarily ambassadors or Barb and I or Tracy and Erica. They were those folks that are boots on the ground, just trying it. And they were people with lived experience that had outcomes they wanted to share. And so we really wanted to highlight that. Over the last 8 years in doing this work, almost 9, we really have seen firsthand the power of storytelling. And we've made it a priority to gather those stories and uplift those stories in lots of different ways. So because stories truly help us understand the importance of centering the voice of people with disabilities, to really, no matter what your role, whether you're a peer, a parent, a sibling, or a professional, we really want you to feel the power of supporting someone to set their goals, to be seen and respected as the expert in their own life, and to have real autonomy and to shape that life they want to live. And that really was why we were leaning into, and I think you're going to see this story of impact continue to be a guiding light in our showcases moving forward. So I'm going to get to the real meat of today. Who are our storytellers today? I have the privilege of folks being so generous with their time and sharing in less of a presentation and more in a just kind of taking what they did at the event, because they had 30 minutes at the event and they're kind of talking in more of a 15-minute space. But we have Julia Adams and Amy Jo Newland from Frontier Community Services, which is a support service provider for people with disabilities that's in Chillicothe, Ohio. We're also joined by Kristen Watkins, who's an SSA and an SSA trainer at Miami County Board of Developmental Disabilities, who's going to share what goes on there. And last one was not at Showcase, but I've had the privilege of meeting her in the last couple of weeks in some work that I've done. And her name is Ishika Sharma, and she is a recent graduate of Project STIR. She's a member of Voices Speaking Out at her Warren County Board. She's part of We Thrive Together, and she's also part of the Advocacy Wednesday events that happen. And she's just a great voice. And she and I have gotten to work together in some presentations I did with self-advocates around the one-page person-centered description. And she's going to share her story. So we're going to get started. I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to hand over the mic to Julia Adams and Mary Jo Newland. And they are going to have to scoot afterwards. So we're going to let them ask questions when you finish there. And I did not know we had that beautiful transition, but look at that. All right, go ahead, Amy Jo.
So, hi, and thank you so much for having us. I'm Amy, and this is Julia.
Hello.
And we are just going to share a little bit about our story. So, how we as an organization got involved in charting the life course is I've kind of been a fangirl of Barb's for many years and went to some of her one in person and several online trainings that she did. And my team member and I went to the showcase last year, and that was my chance. I went for it and asked her how we might be able to bring this to our team. The organization I work for is a nonprofit, and we support 5 different counties in Southern Ohio. And so we support around 400 and some people, counting our team members. So that's the people we support and our DSP team. So thankfully, Barb was able to make it happen for us. So she came down and did 2 in-person sessions with our direct support and leadership team. And then she did a breakout session for the supported, for our guided implementation, the virtual side-by-side with our adult day team. And Julia is part of our adult day team, a person with lived experience who really helps us in all kinds of ways by advocating for herself and others. So this was the perfect toolbox for her to be able to use to kind of chart out some of her goals. So we have been very fortunate. So I'm going to let Julia tell you a little bit about her story and then how she has used her tools to help herself live that big full life and keep moving forward. So Julia, I'll pass that to you.
Hello. Yeah, I've had pretty good. I've had a rough life. I mean, it was rough after my mom passed. When my mom passed away, everything just went downhill real quick. And then I got into a hospital down here in Chillicothe. Went in there for psychiatric help. I guess that's what you'd say, ain't it, Amy?
For grieving.
Yeah.
Grieving.
And no, my family didn't want nothing to do with me towards that. And so I pretty much was just more or less holding a bag is what I was doing. And then I went up to Grove City and they tried to say I was out of my choo-choo, but I wasn't. But I thought you'd find that funny.
She did, yeah.
But I'm not. I'm just one deer. I just speak my mind. I mean, I speak what's on it. I don't camouflage nothing and stuff. Went to the nursing home. I was in a nursing home down here in Chillicothe for about a year and a half. almost 2. It was
Mhm.
almost 2 years in it. And then I got to talking to the social worker there to get me out of there because I was getting frustrated and I needed out. I needed out of the place because I felt like I was in a jail. Is about what it felt like. Then I turned around and I moved out. I got a home. I moved to PV in Chillicothe. I was out there for a year and a half, and that's where I met Amy and my best friend Trish. Well, she works with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met her, and pretty much everything pretty much was coming together for me. I got into options. I learned to options helped me, and Barb helped me with the tools, teaching me the tools of what of charting for life, taking each step and breaking them down to where you can understand what's in your own way and what you can do. I learned to crochet. Well, I learned to crochet and I knit together. I don't know how I do it, but I do it. It's kind of neat looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I learned to do that. I got from PV to a house. I'm living in a regular house now. I don't know how to act really being in a regular house.
So she went from
Yeah.
living in the nursing home, then she got connected with our team and moved
Yeah.
into a group home because that was the first space we had available.
Yeah.
And so she was kind of rescued from the
Yeah,
nursing home
I
because
got rescued because Abby rescued me.
yeah, so one of her best friends also lived in the nursing
Yeah.
home for like 19
He was
years,
14.
14
He
years.
was 14 when he lived there.
And so Julia was not only able to advocate for herself, but she advocated for her friend, and they were
Yeah.
both able to move into the group home together at first.
Yeah.
And then Julia realized that she wanted to be more independent,
Yeah.
right?
Dependent more. Get out and do for myself again because I was doing things for myself when my mother was living. When I took charge of everything. So I wanted to take charge back of my own life. And then that's when I started learning the tools from you guys, breaking them down and getting to understand which is what I want to learn and what I don't understand. And I asked Amy, or I'll try to break it down myself.
Yeah, and so she was able to like put her heart's desire on like the integrated star, and
Mhm.
again moving to her own home
Yeah.
without 24-hour support. She doesn't need that. So she was able to get her own home. Like she said, she taught herself because this was something
Yeah.
that she charted. She wanted
Yeah.
to use YouTube and stuff to teach herself some skills. So now she's
Yeah.
doing all kinds of fun
Oh,
stuff.
I do all kinds.
Also, again, she advocates for herself and others using the
Mhm.
tools, which is just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
even for me, she advocates for me too, even as her support person and her friends. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really cool. Also, to give Julia a shout out, she also used the tools to make community connections. That was part of what was charted.
Yeah.
And she did this beautiful artwork thanking the city transit director for providing transportation to us so we could all
Yeah.
have a party together at the end of the
Christmas
year.
party, yeah. He helped us all. He helped us get there to the party. More or less a thank you. But all the
Okay.
You're good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, done it.
So we're going to keep using the tools too. We want to keep, sorry, the audio is cutting out, but we want to keep learning and growing. So thank you for this opportunity to be with y'all. Sorry for our audio. We'll go ahead and mute, but thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, Julia, I hope you take a minute to look at the chat because you've got some fans now. So you're gonna soon have a following, I think. And I just
Okay.
every time I hear your story, I'm amazed that the second you it feels like the
Well,
second
I
you
believe-
felt something happen, the second you had an impact, you
Yeah.
wanted everybody to have that. And you jumped
Yeah,
in
'cause
and advocated for everybody.
Yeah, I'm just one. I'm a doer. I'm like with Reba McEntire. I'm like that song. I'm a survivor.
There you go.
That's me.
Reba's a great role model. I think I
Oh,
was listening to
yeah.
her last night. So that's awesome. Well, Julia
Yeah.
and Amy Jo, I certainly appreciate you. I know that you're going to stay as long as you can. If you want to put an email in the chat where folks can ask you questions, you can. If you don't want to, folks have questions, send them to me and I can forward them.
Yeah, you can.
But we wanted you to know that this kind of support for you guys taking that first step is here. That's kind of what we're called to do at FRNO. And there's folks that just take one simple step and it snowballs, as you can see with Julia and Amy Jo's
Yeah.
story. So thank you so much, Julia. I'm glad
Oh,
we have the
you're
recording
welcome.
of this. And we'll be in touch. Thanks again.
Okay.
All right. Everybody give a big thank you in the chat. And I'm going to hand the mic over to Kristen.
All right. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sweet. Okay, cool. My name is Kristen. I'm an SSA/SSA trainer here in Miami County, and I have a little slideshow. Presenting does not come easy for me, so I asked Celia if I could have a little slideshow to kind of help guide me. I'm getting more comfortable with it, but in this picture here, this is me and a manager at Miami County and two individuals that we serve at the Synergy Conference. We talked on how Miami County uses the life course trajectory. So before I jump into my slideshow and pull it up on my screen here too, I just wanted to go over how Miami County uses the life course, specifically the life course trajectory, and just kind of go over how I use it with people on my caseload and how every SSA in Miami County uses it. I will start off by saying it's a requirement for us to use it, but I don't like to think of it as a requirement because I absolutely love using the trajectory. And everyone uses it so differently. So I'll kind of just go over how I use it and what I feel like is the importance of it. But I really feel like when you use the life trajectory and it talks about what your vision for a good life is and what you don't want, we're able to build outcomes for our individuals. And perfect, that's the slide right there. That's the form that we mostly use. There's other forms that we use, but this is the one we mostly use. And it allows our individuals the opportunity to share what their vision for a good life is and possibly what they don't want. And what I like to do at all my team meetings is go over what they put down on here and how we could build outcomes for stuff that they want to reach. And often it's in what they don't want. And I'll kind of go through some examples later after I chat a little bit about how we use it. But using these tools to help us build outcomes for our individuals. I will say Miami County starts using it at the age of 3. So we have an SSA that jumps on board for teams at the age of 3, and she uses it with her teams. Now, do the 3-year-olds always write what they want? Absolutely not. But parents are able to write what they feel like is going to help make a good life for their children and how we could best support them. And then it goes in, school age children. Oh, was someone going to ask a question? Sorry. It goes into school age children and how they're able to write down information, what makes a good life for them. I have an 11-year-old who, I won't get into it with him, but I asked him to fill one out because he's always like, Mom this and Mom that. I'm like, no, let's fill this out so we can show you that. Let's work towards what you want. What's your vision for a good life? My favorite is looking at the transition age kiddos and what they put on here, what their vision for a good life is and how we could help them reach that, right? Most of the time, a lot of the times they want to be a TikToker, they want to be a famous YouTuber, whatever it may be, but we're using these tools to help them reach that. And then again, what they don't want, we're empowering our individuals to write what they don't want, how we can help them, whatever it is in their life they don't want, how we can help them get rid of it, for lack of better words. And it's so awesome to see the growth and empowering our individuals to fill it out for themselves. And I will 100% share, does everyone on my caseload have the abilities to complete these on their own? Absolutely not. But I still will give them the form. So in a couple slides, I'll show you guys, I have an individual who she can scribble, right? But I still gave her the form. I put the form in front of her at her meeting and I said, Alicia, put your vision for a good life. Did she understand me? No, but she was able to draw on it. And you can see when we get to her slide, she enjoyed it. I have someone else on my caseload. It's his Christmas list. I send his life trajectory to him before his meeting, and I say, John, bring your trajectory to the meeting. It is so funny to see the stuff he writes. New watch, Ohio State bed sheet. He wants a new bowling ball. So just really using this to help us meet our individual's needs. So I'm going to go through just a couple of slides of the people on, these are all people on my caseload, and just kind of showing you how we use them. The first one is Arturo. So this is Arturo, I think, is a great example. He's a transition age kiddo. I think he's 16. He's the only one not on my caseload, but I couldn't not use his form because I love it. But you can see he was able to say that he just wants to have a good house, a dog, a girlfriend, PC gaming, and he wanted to make enough money, have a good job. What he doesn't want, I love that he wrote drugs. He doesn't want drugs. He wrote his mom. I did ask the SSA why he wrote his mom on there. And she said that's because his mom doesn't let him play on his PC gaming enough. His mom is the one in the picture with him. So he does love his mom. But the SSA that has Arturo on his caseload was able to understand that Arturo wants to work. And so how could he help him work? Well, they started with transportation. So they broke down what his vision for a good life was. What's most important to him was to work, make good money. And we started with how he's going to get to work, and it was transportation. As you can see in the picture, someone donated a bike to him so that he could start looking for work and riding his bike to and from work. So we were able to use that tool to help Arturo build his outcome. The next one is my dear friend, Laura. Laura is, that's me with Laura four years ago, I think. The first picture is me with her at the Synergy conference 4 years ago. The second picture is me with her at the Synergy conference last year, I think. As you can see, Laura is the girl on my caseload. She is like, Kristen, I'm content. I don't have an outcome. I want to live with my mom and dad, and I want to go to my day program. And I'm like, Laura, we got to come up with something. What's important to you? What is important to you? What can we build off of that? So as you can see, she wrote her mom and her dad. It is okay if stuff isn't spelled correctly. I just helped her afterwards. She put day Monday. I added the word program for her. She likes her cat, and then she likes activities. Did she spell it right? No, but that's okay. I was able to help her, and we built her outcome off of her love to do different activities. So I will share her outcome was to learn about gardening. She really was interested in learning about gardening, how she can grow her own vegetables. And that third picture is dear Laura with a garden in her backyard that her mom and dad, who are very important to her, were able to help her start growing. I laugh because what she doesn't want is snakes, because she does live out in the country and she was worried snakes were going to get into her garden. That's Miss Laura. Next one is good old Jason. He too is on my caseload. As you can see, it is okay if they draw pictures. I love when they draw pictures. Jason likes to smoke cigarettes. It is what it is. I let him draw his cigarette. I let him draw his school bus. He loves to take the school bus. He loves his girlfriend. He wrote her name in there. And I feel like this is a great example of building an outcome off of what he doesn't want. So Jason was living with someone named David who became very aggressive, very violent, was hitting him often. And so what he didn't want was his roommate hitting him. So his outcome was that we were going to help move him. And while he didn't necessarily reach that outcome, his roommate was able to move out, and Jason got a new roommate. So we were able to build his outcome off what he doesn't want. He was tired of getting hit by his roommate. So just a couple more. This is my dear friend, Joseph. He too is on my caseload, and Joseph has had a very rough life. Joseph is actually the one that's now living with Jason in the picture before. But Joseph really has had a rough life. He was adopted from Colombia at a young age, and life wasn't easy for him. He doesn't speak, but he mentally understands everything. So I had him write down what was important to him. And I laughed at him when he said me and wild. He was like, basically telling me he had a wild side. So we were able to build his outcome off of him and being in the wild. And so his outcome was that he was just going to experience new things this year. He was able to leave a pretty rough situation where he was living. And so we built his outcome off of being able to go explore things. That's him at the Reds game, been to a Bengals game. He's been to FC Cincinnati game. He's been to Florida now that he's living with someone else. So he's a success story there. I promise I'll go quickly to the next few ones. So yeah, if I'm taking too long, just tell me. Okay. Alicia, this is who I said, Alicia cannot physically write down or draw. She can't draw like actual pictures, but I still put the form in front of her. So I wanted to use her as an example because I still want her to feel like she has a purpose at her meeting. We're sitting at this table with all her providers and family and her support team talking about her, but she's not able to actively participate and talk with us. So I put this form in front of her, I gave her a pen, and you can see all the little scribble marks was her. I feel like it gave her a purpose. It had her be present in her meeting, and I was able to turn the form into my manager. Her guardian did add the few extra things on there, but I felt like this was a great example of showing you that you could use this form with anyone. Christy, the next two are my dear friend Christy. So Christy again has been on my caseload. I think I've been with her 8 years. Christy is she lives independently. She doesn't have a lot of support. She's just very, I don't know, she does well. She just lives at home. She works. She doesn't need a lot of help, but she also is very shy, and she did not want to fill out the form for me this year. This I think was 2 or 3 years ago. So instead of her filling out the form, I was at her house with her. She told me what to put on there, and I was able to write it for her. So that's my writing. As you can see, I put in quotes what she told me was important to her. It was her brother, her cat, her family, everything she told me that was important to her, I put down for her. And we built her outcome off of this. Chrissy doesn't ever have anything she wants to work towards. She always tells me, I'm fine, Kristen, I'm fine. I'm like, nope, we got to have something. And so we built her outcome off of her brother, Jimmy, who's very important to her. As you can see, Jimmy's in that picture with her. Jimmy is a Tony Award winning producer on Broadway. And she wanted to go see his Broadway show that he produced and got a Tony Award for. So her outcome that year was to go see him. And as you can see, she was successfully able to go see him and see his Tony Award. The next slide is her last year. She filled it out herself. She grew. She went from, Kristen, I'm not filling this out, to, okay, fine, I'll fill it out if I have to. And she was able to write. Did she write a lot? Not at all. But she still was able to tell me that her kitten is important to her, watching TV, her family, and working. She does work at Tropical Smoothie. And what she doesn't want, she put not much. She's good. She's content. But we were able to build her outcome this year off of her desires to keep working. She wanted to become Employee of the Month at Tropical Smoothie. And yay, she was able to. I think in December, she was granted Employee of the Month. So she was super excited about that. Sorry, I see the comments going off, but if I read them, I'll distract myself. The last person is Jenna. I wish I would have had time to invite Jenna to this meeting. She went with us to the Ohio Showcase and was able to present her story. But this is Jenna. If you go to the next slide, I'll show you Jenna. Jenna is so great. If she could be here, she would be able to share with you that she has just grown so much. So 3 years ago, nope, it wasn't even a thing. Her dad was filling out the form for her. The following year, she was able to start writing on the form. She felt more comfortable. And then the third year, you could see that she went from writing it herself to using technology to fill it out. Jenna was able to set goals for herself. She went from not driving, living with her parents, really, really just stuck in a bad situation, to now she drove to the Ohio Showcase in Columbus by herself. She drove her parents to the Ohio Showcase with the van that she purchased because she is working now. She was able to become her own guardian. So APSE is no longer involved. She was able to become her own payee. And she loves this tool. She's able to write down every year what she wants to work towards. So I think Jenna is a great, great, great success story here. And I think that's all. Sorry, I don't know how long I went, but I think that's all my slides.
No, you're great. You did a great job. I'm sure, take a breath, because you were amazing. And I share with everybody that Kristen and I talked, I'm like, these are so cool. And I didn't want to cut anything out, but I was like, just because we want to get everything in. So folks have questions, put them in the chat. You're just getting cheering from the thing and from folks in the participants, and then comments about working at Smoothie King. So is that what it's, Smoothie King? No, Tropical Smoothie. Yes. So no, and we'll have some time for questions. If you're able to stick around, Kristen, let me know if you can't, and I'll let people ask questions now if they have them. Okay. So next up we have Ishika, and Ishika is new to presenting and sharing here in our Family Resource Network of Ohio space. I'm not seeing her on my screen though. Where did you go? Oh, there you
I'm
go.
right here.
You're at the top. I found you. And as I shared before, Ishika is a new graduate from Project Stir, and she's a self advocate. And she and I met in a space where I did a series of one-page trainings. And Ishika was a rock star, and I'm going to let her share a little bit about herself. And she even had her one pages up here she wanted you to see, and we'll share those too. So Ishika, you tell me when you want me to switch the slides, and we'll go.
I think we'll stay on the slide for a bit.
Okay,
So I do need to leave like in like 15 minutes, so I'll just say whatever
perfect.
I can say in 15
Yeah,
minutes.
that's
So,
great.
hi, my name is, thank you guys for joining. My name is Ishika Sharma. I am a self-advocate from Warren County Board of DD. I'm involved in, as Celia said, in Voices Speaking Out. I just graduated Project Stir, which also talks about charting the life course in depth. But I'm so just glad I met Celia to talk about this one pager, which is very similar. So how I found out about this opportunity is I knew some of my friends did some one pagers, and I knew that that I saw on social media and on the DODD website that that people did the one pagers and talking about their charting their life course, and that's why I took upon this opportunity. And I'm also on Advocacy Wednesdays with OSDA, and I'm also involved with We Thrive Together, and that's how I found out about when Celia came on. Oh, and hey, Carolyn. So that's how I found out about this. So this is an example of my one pager that me and Celia worked on together with advocacy and engagement. So I wanted to focus mine one pager about what people like and admire about me, what's important to me, and how to best support me with advocacy engagement. And um, and I also focused on one pagers on my work, my relationship, and also doctors and health appointments. If there's other slides. And this is a quote I wrote about, that I wrote about right there. Respect who I am as a person, my values, my boundaries, my background, and my belief. Honor me as an individual, not just my disability or mental health diagnosis. That's really important to me because I want people to understand me, not just only because of my autism, but just me as an individual and how to best support me and understand me. This is my one pager on work. I currently work at Brookdale Senior Living. So this is what people like and admire about me that I wrote. What's important to me is like I have open communication, that the people I work for understand autism, and luckily I have a supervisor who has a son that has autism. So she actually is a really understanding person. And this is how to best support me. Just give me feedback on what I'm doing well and can improve on, offer me suggestions and input, and also making the work environment to be inclusive, and also making sure that I feel valued and earning recognitions, which I'm glad that Brookdale offers work employees incentives and also different recognitions of different things. Okay. And then this is for my health appointments that I did. So that's like basically going to any doctor's appointments. We did a 1-week session on that. And this is what people like and admire about me, that what I'm able to do when I'm in my healthcare appointments. Like one thing that Celia, I've learned about me, and that if you all have known me, that I'm very outspoken. I speak for what I want and I get my needs across. And I like to ask questions. And if I want to know more, I always want to ask questions, and making sure that I'm on the same page. That's important to me because I don't like confusion that much, and I just want to make sure that I'm on the same page with everyone else. And what's important to me is they have a decent understanding about autism, valuing me as a person. That my own participation in my own care is easy and supported from beginning to end. That my needs come across well and are received with empathy and kindness, and that I'm taken seriously. And how to best support me, respect my need to know, asking open-ended questions, not just simply yes or no, because I want to explain how I feel or what's going on with me. And I might need a little more time because if I might need to have stuff repeated to me because I may not understand everything the first time. take sure to let me take my time and making sure I don't feel rushed or interrupted when I'm sharing. And just, respecting my background, my beliefs, my culture, and everything, and taking the time to demonstrate and use my chart, which I've actually have an account for my chart that I use, and that has all my, if you guys know of my chart, it has your immunizations and your records, your doctor appointment history. So I think that my chart is really useful if it's better explained to you in a simple way. All right. And then yeah, so I did another last one pager about my relationship. So as you can see, if you see that picture every time, that's from Project Stir when all the voices speaking out got pictures of the Project Stir shirt that I graduated from. But yeah, like I did a one pager about my relationship. This is what what they say about me and what he says about me. And this is what's important to me, that empathy and communication is a core value. And I want the person who I'm with to respect my needs, my boundaries, and my needs and preferences. And I always want to be supported and just allowing to be myself, not feeling like I have to change for the other person. And I also want my family to get along with him and making sure that they fit in with my family and it is appreciated by me and my family members. And how he best supports me is he doesn't just tell me to just calm down because compared to most guys do, because that's not helpful in my opinion. They, takes deep breaths with me, gives me affection, and is willing to listen to me when I vent out. He looks at me, he shows that you're hearing me, and we just laugh together and just do, and he doesn't also be pushy. He allows me to support to the things that I love and asking me if I'm okay, checking on me and offering reassurance every time, like making sure that I feel loved. When I feel down, that he always says, "Oh, you're always loved no matter what." So I really feel like this one pagers is really important because it allows me to say what I want and I don't want. And I've actually just shared this with my advocacy coordinator who is on here. I just forwarded my one pager for advocacy and just say what you think. And I'm even planning to use this in my current supervisor and in my new job that I just got through UC Health as a medical assistant. So I'm just really glad that I got this opportunity to meet Celia and all the wonderful things, and I can use this in my in each part of my life.
Thanks, Ishika.
And I highly recommend Project Stir, by the way, if you guys don't know what Project.
She's a fan. So, and one thing I think, if anybody here hasn't tried using any of the tools, and I think Kristen could probably back this, or Barb, or anybody else who's on here that's used them, I think the privilege is being part of the conversations as a supporter. And I just have been amazed in this space. It's just as simple as this one page to get to know the people that you're working with on a different level. We say all the time, it's about the conversation. And it's really easy in our work to end up in a place where we're kind of doing our job, but we're losing the person in that space. And so I just told Ishika, I said, we didn't know each other at all when we started this Monday thing of doing one pagers. And Ishika and I have connected on a lot of different places. As you can imagine, there's opportunities for Ishika to share her story in a lot of different places. So, but what I loved about, and there was a theme throughout. So, that idea of doing it for different settings that we talk about with the one page was really evident because you got to see that core belief come through, that piece that was on her slide, that quote about respecting her and respecting her boundaries and respecting all parts of her, was something that came out in everything, whether it was talking about how she wanted to be supported or was talking about what's important to her or what she heard and saw when other people valued her. And she was immediately ready to say, where can I share this? And I think that's also where the real power comes from, is sharing. Go ahead, Ishka, I'm sorry. Did you want to add?
No, I was listening to you. Sorry.
Okay. So I want to thank you. If you guys have questions, we're going to have questions at the end, but certainly throw things into the chat for Ishika. I want to watch our time. I wanted to share one last opportunity for storytelling, and I'm going to hop out because I don't think I'm I'm gonna hop down for a second. I don't think I shared my sound when I shared my screen. I'm gonna do that again really quickly.
Thank you guys for the comments, by the way. I'm just looking through the comments, and I put in my email if anybody has any questions about one pager, or me, about Project Stir, anything you want to ask me. I put my email in.
Perfect. Thank you, Ishika. And
I
know
do
you have
need to
take
get
a
off
break. I
though,
don't get to
but
say bye.
thank you for allowing me to share this opportunity, and my also biggest advice to you is don't be afraid to speak up. Your voice always matters.
Awesome. Thank you, Ishika. So this was a video we shared because Elle could not be at the showcase, but it is on our website, and it's on the very first page, and we're going to keep doing these videos. So as you jump in and try, because I'm hoping everybody will, or maybe you already have, and stories are simple. You can see here that outcomes can be very simple, but they're important outcomes. And so I want to make sure that you know that, but we're going to be doing those. So we're going to capture some voices from Ishika and others, but we want to do videos like this. So I'm going to go ahead and share this and think about who could do this.
Hi, I am Ella Neruda. I am a self-advocate, and I would love to share my story about the Charting the Life course, specifically the one-pagers. I first learned about Charting the Life course years ago, actually, at an OCaliCon conference, and I thought it was a really wonderful idea that I really liked, and it was part of my training as a direct support professional. So I had come across it multiple times, but I had never used it personally. And then the lovely Tracy Mans gave our social work supervision group a talk about Charting the Life course, and she passed them out and said, okay, does anyone want to hand it, everyone should try filling them out. And I was kind of like, oh, well, I've done this multiple times. I don't need to do it again. And she said, well, what about try something else? Try it for medical setting. And I was like, oh, that's kind of new. That's kind of novel. I like that idea. So I thought, and it got me thinking, I was like, what I want my friends and colleagues to know is different than what I want my doctors to know. And so I made a medical setting specific Charting the Life course, talking a lot about my intelligence and how articulate and resourceful I am, and how I'm good at advocating for myself, and what specific needs I have in medical settings. And then that very night, I ended up going to the emergency department.
Sorry.
After a medical episode. And so I thought either Tracy is my guardian angel or she jinxed me. I'm not sure which one it was, but it was really helpful to have. And I felt more confident going in because I had kind of a script for what my specific needs are and how I would like others to help me. And then after that, I ended up undergoing some testing that was slightly invasive, and that was nerve-wracking. And I brought the Charting the Life course with me. I made a new version with my photo and a picture of my dog on it. And just going in, it felt a lot more confident. For me, when I have to say out loud, like, please, like, lay me back, don't talk about the needle, don't make me look at the needle. The more times I say needle, the more distressed I'm going to get. So it really kind of defeats the purpose. And so with this, I can just hand it to them, have them read it. And the time that I really knew that they were actually reading it and listening is he came back to me and he said, one of my things is having things in written format. And he came back and he said, I printed off some information about the test you're undergoing. Would you like to have that? Would you like to read it? And there was just a huge wave of relief where I was like, he read this. He knows my plan. He knows what I need. And that was because of the Charting the Life course. And so that was really empowering for me. And then I had an appointment with a new clinician and I gave it to him. And when he walked in, he immediately addressed all the things on the Charting the Life course, and not being dismissive, giving me a differential diagnosis to tell me what he thinks is going on with me. And it was so clear that he had read that and taken the time to get to know how he can best help me. And that just made me feel really calm and in control and regulated in a very stressful setting that I don't really want to be in. So I had known about charting the life course for a long time, but it wasn't until I really personally got to experience the benefits of it that I fully appreciated what a powerful tool it can be to help, especially self-advocates, to work with medical providers and make sure their needs are met and that any assumptions the provider might have can be corrected ahead of time.
So I appreciated Elle and her story because we we talk a lot amongst ourselves, the folks, the ambassador stuff, about the power of it in this setting. But I also watched a family member, two family members actually benefit from it. One who was in nursing care, and we were moving from one facility to the next. And the other was my daughter, who, again, like Elle, was having procedures done. And the level of care, that the way they noticed her, the things they said to her, like, oh, you have a cat, or simple things like that, just put her at ease in that setting in a way that I can't compare. And it's no surprise that Ishika shared that very quickly she got it to her provider and to her supporter. I often, when I present in employment spaces or in school spaces, I say, imagine giving this to your supervisor and having them know this about you. And you get this face of, ooh, or having the key to the kingdom of knowing your supervisor on this level. So we remind ourselves all the time, these aren't just for people with disabilities. All of us can benefit from these conversations. I want to give anybody an opportunity to add anything real quick or ask questions before we move forward. So I always put in my advocacy ones, I put let's talk, because I know people have the desire to share. But does anybody have questions or comments? We really want to have this space encourage folks to be curious and to try and to know that we're here as a support, and to make sure you come to the conference next year. We're already setting the date. It will likely be in February. Mark your calendar, February 1st, to say, look for and ask about when the Ohio Showcase is. Any questions, comments?
Celia, this is Pedro. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's just amazing just to hear the stories, especially the one pager. I have my sister. She also has a disability, and I remember she has Down syndrome, and she got a seizure, a big time seizure, which she ended up being in the IQ, and she was in coma. And I did on the one pager for her, and it was just amazing to see how the IQ nurses took the time to read it. And they noticed that she loved music, and the next time that we went, they had a boombox in there with her favorite music on it. And I don't know if that was the thing, but she came back, and she, after a few months of being in coma, and now she's still living, and she's very strong. So just those little things that people do care, and they see what is important for them, and they work out to give him that voice, even that she's in coma, but they were able to listen to her. So
Wow, what a great story. So see how simple that is, that, it just is a piece of paper, but it's so powerful in those moments. I did the same with my brother when he was on a vent with COVID. So it's a simple place to dive in if anybody's curious or wants to try. I know we're getting close on time. I want to, whoops, my slides don't want to advance. Oh, sorry. I'm going to tell you, come for the food. We are notorious for great food at Showcase, but come for the food, stay for the fun. Look at the faces. I'm telling you, this room is different than any other. Any of you that have been there know what I'm talking about. It is a great space for like-minded people who have a great passion to really support people with disabilities, to have a voice in that room. I want to really quickly tell you, there's some great stuff coming up. If you get the Nice Longer emails, if you're on our email list, please, please, please go back and look through your email. Barb's doing a great piece on respite coming up. And we've got a new series that's coming. So there's Barb's thing on respite. That's April 2nd and April 9th. So we've got one left tomorrow if you want to join that. In addition, we've got a new series we're doing It's beginning with this one with the Center for Disability Engagement. One of our other folks that we support to be part of FRNO, Brandy Muhammad, is going to be doing a panel with brown and black families of children with disabilities. And then she's going to continue this journey all the way out until January 1st, doing additional presentations of ways that we can pull those tools out and use them to support ourselves as families. And then back by popular demand, starting in May again, we're going to be doing the family series. If those of you that support families, we'll be doing the guided implementation for families. And that's a great series where families can roll up their sleeves and really work on the tools together with other families in May. And it'll be on the 7th, the 14th, the 21st, and the 29th. These flyers are all available on our calendar on our website. And then Erica's also putting the registrations in the chat. I always go to the top of my email and search Charting the Life Course NYSONGR, and anything that's come to me that got lost under all the other emails that we're juggling, it comes up. I want to again highlight the fact that this work is the work of many, many hands, but we are so appreciative